Paxton, Music and Life. Welcome to my channel. For all those that are not subscribed to my channel, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit like, and also make sure you hit that bell to get the notifications for all my latest videos. Welcome back, you guys, to the Stone Paxton Music and Life podcast, The Couch. I'm here in my recording studio. I'm not sitting on the couch. But the topic of this video is, are great writers and arrangers now in the past? Are great writer and arrangers far gone and few between? Are there still great writers and arrangers, and is there still great writing? In my analogy of where records are now as far as the writing and the arrangement of music, lyrical production, lyrical vocal production, vocal arrangements and cadences. You know, it seems to me that the last 10 years, I listened to a lot of R&B records. I listened to a lot of hip hop records, and I've noticed that there's a lot of writing that's kind of turned into lazy writing. There's a lot of writing that has turned into ABC writing. And what I mean by ABC writing is just me saying that people are not quite taking their time to write records. They're just kind of just saying whatever or trying to rhyme. Like me, I've never been a person to focus on rhyming lyrics. I focus on the message, not so much focusing on because a lot of guys or females who write poetry figure that since they write poetry means that they can write songs. Totally different style of writing. Poetry is poetry. Writing a song is writing a song. So you can take lyrics from poetry and actually implement those in a song, but it has to be structured properly, because a song doesn't always necessarily have to rhyme, but the story should always make sense. Always makes sense. If you listen to some of the greatest records that were written in the last, let's say the last 40 years, 50 years, they always had a great story to them. Nowadays, most of the records are predictable. You can hear them on the radio, and you can actually predict what they're going to say. So I used to play this game, right? I used to play this game where I would sit back and I would try to figure out what the next lyric was going to be. I used to sit back and try to figure out what the person was going to say on the next words. That right there would tell me how much energy that writer put into writing their song. Because if I could predict, and you got to think about it, it's like us having a conversation. If you can predict the next thing I'm going to say, then there's no need for you to listen to me, right? There's no need for you to listen to me. If you can predict what I am going to say next, then you're going to flip through this channel and go somewhere else, right? Because it's kind of sort of like reading my mind. Well, writing songs should not be predictable. Writing lyrics and sharing your lyrical story to someone, they should never be able to know what you're going to say next. They shouldn't be able to know based on the word that you're going to say. Like, I'm pretty good. I can actually listen to a song and you can sit next to me and I can tell you what they're going to say next. That's how long I've been writing songs, right? That's easy. Whenever I've been able to do that, I know as a writer that this person has taken the easy way out of writing. They're just trying to get the song done. Why do I think that there has been a shift in writing in the music industry? Writing and arranging, because even arrangements, I hear some songs have great lyrics and the arrangements suck, right? Or the arrangements are just kind of not really powerful, or they're just kind of like, it's okay, right? Or maybe they lose me towards the chorus because the lyrics are good, but the cadence is just kind of like, you feel what I'm saying? Because a cadence can make or break your song. A lyric can make or break your song. So I think within the last 10 or 15, 20 years for sure, good 15, that things have shifted into people being lazy, writers being lazy as writers, and not really challenging themselves to push harder to create great music. They're not studying the greats from the past, right? They're not studying the greats from the past. They're not pulling up these old records going, let me see what motivated them to write. Let me feel and see if I could feel what mood they were in when they were writing. Let me see if I can get the essence of what stories they're writing through this whole album, right? The thing is your story is your story. Nobody should ever be able to predict your story as a writer because it's your life. And sometimes it might not necessarily be your life, because sometimes I write songs about the things around me. I might write a song about my friend's relationship, not purposely, but seeing what they go through, that might inspire a song, right? That's organic, right? And it's coming from an honest place. So when you're writing from an honest place and it's organic, it's going to be real. You're not going to be able to really predict what a person's going to say. That is a sign of a lazy writer. Also, another issue I feel like that plagues the artist community as writers is maturity. I think, and I know for sure that it lacks an element of that. I was talking to a gentleman on Facebook, one of my friends, and he said some stuff that really sparked me to think. He said, it's about a maturity thing. And he's right. Writing songs, what the old school songs had that the songs now don't have is a level of maturity in the writing. Thus, the reason most of the greatest writers are older. If you look up all the people writing for a lot of the younger generation that have really great written records are older people writing the records. But a lot of times if you hear mediocre written records, it's usually the younger artists writing it because they have not experienced enough to be able to write you that sort of quality of matureness. So to really write a great record, you have to have a level of, there should definitely be a level of maturity. Now, certain things we won't be able to talk about because if we haven't lived that, you can't write about it, right? If you haven't been in that position and you haven't been on this earth long enough, then you can't write about it. So to have a greatly written R&B song or hip hop song, you might have to get somebody to co-write with you that has lived that long enough to be able to give you that, because you're only going to be able to write from your perspective. So when he said to me, Stone, it's about a matureness thing. I said, man, you know what? I had never really thought about that. I was like, he's right. It's about a matureness thing. Writing is truly about a level of matureness because that allows you to write. So maybe this is the reason why everything we hear now in hip hop and even some R&B is just like, especially the hip hop, the writing just don't even make sense anymore. Some of the things they talk about don't even make sense. They could definitely use some co-writers. That's a fact. You have to be able to not only touch people's inner spirit, but you have to be able to share a message that's going to touch forever, not just for that moment for the sake of, you getting attention. You feel like you're writing something that you feel is going to be the song or the lyric that's going to get you that attention. It's going to be that one, right? But as a writer, we're responsible. We're responsible to give people something that makes sense. We're responsible because the gift of music and lyric comes from up above. So this is why, you hear people listening to lyrics and going out doing crazy stuff, because the power of music, the power of suggestion, right, through lyrical content is very, very magical and very powerful. So you got to remember, if I approach a song, like when I approach my records, here's the thing. When I approach my records, this is how I approach my records. I won't rush any song if I don't feel like I feel the lyric. If I don't feel like I'm feeling inspired to write, I won't force it. Because when you force it, you can actually create something that's horrible. So what I do is I allow the music to take me where it should take me. And if I have to sit on that song for a day or two, I will. Because I want to make sure that I write something that's going to hit spiritually inside of me, and that's going to send a message on the other end of that speaker to the younger generation or to my OGs. I want my music to be timeless. So in order for my music to be timeless and to stay timeless is I have to dig deep and write content that's going to change people's lives through the story, through life's story. This is why you see a lot of artists sampling a lot of old school records and then trying to write around it, taking the topic of that chorus or whatever that person was talking about, sample it, and it inspires them to write. So what has happened to the music industry, there's been a lack of new publishing created because most of the valuable stuff that was written 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, or more, right? So you got everybody sampling all the great songs because they don't know how to come to writing any great records, or they're not willing to get with a co-writer to co-write with them, somebody with experience to help them mold and carve out their future as a artist, right? So they continue to write these songs until they wake up and realize, oh crap, I need some better content lyrically. I need some better arrangements. I need some better cadences. Nothing beats experience. So the longer you live as a writer, the better you get. The more experiences you have as a writer, the better you get. Or if you're very good at English and you're good at wordplay, you could be a great writer because you could look at somebody and learn them and write their story. So there are cases where some people might be younger and they're great writers, but that's kind of rare and few and far between. Most younger people can only write about their experience and what they've been through. And that's why now you see 15, 16 writers on the song, because those are usually younger writers and they're all trying to put their ideas together to create these songs that only took one or two writers to create. You know what I mean? So that is something that has happened within the writers community for years. And it's kind of like now, it's kind of like, okay, how do you get back to the Motown? How do you get back to, the era of all those classic records that was written, like Stax Records and all these classic, groups, R&B groups or rock bands that are writing great records? How do you get back to that time period? This is why they're having writers camps, to inspire writers to be better writers. This is why they're doing, like, I know in New York, I know a good friend of mine who's a great writer and arranger, Rufus Black. They do these writer camps. And, you're putting all these writers in one place, and they're sitting and they're listening to the songs, and they're critiquing lyrically, and they're showing these writers how to be better writers. They're showing these writers how to get better at writing records. There's only one way to get better, and that is, first of all, you live longer, so you have more experiences, right? And to get with other writers and arrangers who are good at what they do, and it helps you get better, and it helps you understand the structure of writing. This is for the up-and-coming writers. But if you look at the industry right now, give me 10 songs that you feel like, 10 hip-hop songs that you feel like are the greatest written records. Besides the obvious, we know Kendrick Lamar writes great records. We know Kanye writes great records. Give me some of the artists that, I need 10 or 15, because I can go back in the 80s and the 70s and pick 15 artists that were writing great records. But now that's few and far between. And like I said, the reason for that is because nobody thinks there's a reason to be focused on better writing and arrangements. Nobody sees a reason, because I keep saying be, but that's not really what I mean. Nobody sees a reason to really, really up the ante on the writing and arranging. If so, we wouldn't have some of the records we have, some of the lollipop records, because they're just really ABC. We would have better written records. They would be better written. They would be better laid out and constructed like the records were from the late 60s all the way up to the 90s. This is why a lot of those older catalogs are still getting a lot of play. People are still buying those records. People are still supporting those records. You're still going to those concerts and listening to Ohio players, Lakeside, Kool and the Gang, Yarbroughs and Peoples. You know what I'm saying? The Whispers, the Funkadelic, because there was something in the writing. There was something in the arrangements. You got to also remember, here's the crazy part about that. A lot of these artists I'm mentioning, they were young at that time. But it was a different time period where people knew you're not just going to be writing anything. The lyrics had to make sense. Now we're just in a time period to where nothing has to make sense. So people are going with that. People are just going, they're just like, oh, it don't have to make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're just going to throw it up against the wall. If it lands, we're going to take it. You see what I'm saying? They talking about perks and, you know, and lean. And it's like, when did that become great writing? I understand artists that write things like that probably feel like they're writing from what they're going through. But is that really inspiring? Is that really going to help uplift somebody? Is that a real good story to even want to tell? I mean, you can't perform that in Vegas at 50. Who's going to book you? That's another thing. When you're an artist and you're writing, think about your futures. Think about the value. Think about the value of what you're writing and how that's going to be conceived through somebody's ear. And think about how it's going to be received from somebody. Somebody could get inspired by you and get an idea, conceive an idea from listening to something you created. Are they going to be able to receive that 50 years from now and go, well, I can go see that rap group play Vegas. I'll go listen to the song that says lean and perk, take the perk and, you know, drink some lean. Are you going to be able to play that in Vegas? Can you see them performing that in Vegas? So this does have a structured dynamic that affects you down the road. And you just have to see it for what it is. You just have to see it for what it is. Because honestly, I don't see the future getting any better with lyrical content unless artists work on changing that now, especially in the urban sector. If that's not changed during this period of time, I just don't see it being any better down the road. And I don't really see there any value in the publishing, which is how you survive as an artist. So if you're trying to create value in your publishing, that starts with this. And that starts with the sound of the music as well, the lyrics and music. Or there is no value in it in the future. So you have to think about sometimes as the artist up and coming, if you're not a great writer, because I've met independent artists who want to write their stuff, and I listen to it and I go, and I'm like, okay, man, how do I tell them this is just like, how do I tell them, yeah, man, I don't think so, man. Yeah, I don't know. How do I tell them that? How do I say I don't know if this is going to work without hurting somebody's feeling? So what I do with artists, they ask me, what do you think? And I say, yeah, well, you still got a little bit more time to go on really spend some more years at learning, writing, and arranging, because every song you write sounds the same. That's another thing. Signs of a beginning writer is everything will sound the same. Like all the cadences will all sound the same when a person is just starting off writing. So if I hear something, I go, yeah, is that how you want it to go? Is that what you're looking to do? Is are you set on that arrangement? Are you set on those lyrics? Yeah, that's what I want to talk about. I'm like, okay. Sometimes I let it go. Sometimes I will say something, which sometimes can turn into a disagreement because they're thinking I'm changing their art, or they think that I am hating on them, when in reality, I'm not. I'm just basically giving them advice about how they can really operate this and get the most out of their future and get better at the same time. So, why do I think that writing, the great writing, the days of that are long and gone and few and far between? These are some of the reasons why I feel like gone are the days of the great writers. Gone are the days of the great writers. There's still a few around. I mean, I know some incredible ones. Like I said, my good friend Rufus Black, him and I have written some records together for artists, and Juanita Wynn. And you can look these writers up. Great, Grammy nominated, incredible writers. Write some of the most amazing stuff. Now, I can give credit to myself too, because I am a great writer, but I like praising other people. Great writers, man. Great, just incredible, written for everybody. Beyonce, Angie Stone, Amarion, Janae Aiko. I can keep going. The list goes on. The company of great writers. I keep the company of great writers and arrangers. So this conversation I'm having, and I'm a great writer arranger, I can share this with you because I've been privy to being a part of that most of my life. For at least 40 years, being around some of the greatest writers and arrangers. You got to up the ante, artists, independent artists. You got to up the ante on your workflow as far as how you work, like your frequency of writing. Your frequency of writing. The more you write, the more you practice. If you're not good at it, the more you practice, the better you get. The more you're able to story tell, the better you get. Tell real stories. Be creative. Don't find the easy way out when it comes to writing, but challenge yourself to structure something that might be complicated. I go back sometimes and listen to some of my writing, and I'm usually amazed because I'm very humble, but I'm usually amazed. Like, I can't even believe I wrote this song. I can't believe that I came up with this lyrical content and this cool and amazing arrangement and cadence for this song. I can't even believe I produced the music. I'm always so humbled by myself. I humble myself every day because I'm still in shock that I'm able to do something so great and I'm able to do it well and able to have it sound well. Those things amaze me. But I did that from experience. I did that over a period of time of constantly doing the same thing. And I did that from learning from some of the greats growing up. So if you're going to be a better writer in the stage that we're in, to where the writing and arranging is no longer the way it used to be, and there's a lack of great writing and arranging, we have to go back to the drawing board, you know what I'm saying, and base it on the blueprint that was left for us by some of the greats. The blueprint is in front of us. All we got to do is study the blueprint. All you got to do is study it. You know, it's right there. We can pull up the old school songs and listen. We have the blueprint. We have the blueprint to become better writers. If we so believe, if we so desire, and if we put in the energy it takes to be a better writer. If we really learn how to dissect our stories of our own lives in a good way. The positive stories, you could share the negative stories. There's even a way to share a negative story and make it be positive. But, I don't think writing a song and talking about drugs is creative. That's just me personally. To me, anybody can do that. I just don't think that's creative. I think to inspire yourself as an artist, you write about things that can move a person spiritually. Now, if you're writing about how you were on drugs and then you got off, then that's different. You're telling the story. But if you're talking about that's what you do every day, the lean, the perk, to me, that's not writing. To me, that's just like you're just trying to get attention, and you feel like that's cool. And like I said, you're not going to be able to play Vegas in 50 years. This is what you got to look at. The longevity of the publishing as a writer, the longevity of your career as a great writer and if people are going to want to go back and reproduce that song. Are people going to want to go back and sample that song, which means you can continue to make money off of it because somebody's using your work. Somebody's remaking your record. But if you're not writing great records, you're not going to make an impact, not even on your circle of friends. They're just going to listen to it and be like, yeah, that's cool. But if you really want to make an impact for your own life and your career in the music industry, it definitely starts with the writing and the arrangement and the cadences and, of course, the obvious, the music production. But right now we're talking about the writing. You got to dig deep, you guys. Stop being lazy to write. Like I said, if I can predict your song, then that's a telltale. If I can predict your song, no good. I don't need to be able to predict your song. I need to be able to listen to it and enjoy it and hear the story, not predict it and be like, oh, my God, he's about to say hello. She's about to say hello in the next. Okay, they're going to say hi. Oh, no, right there they're going to say, if I fell in love with you, then I would be. Oh, and then right there they're going to say, I've been playing that game for years. I sit in the car and I listen to people's records and I see if I can predict what they're going to say. Most of the records that come out now, I can predict what they're going to say next, man. And it's very uninspiring as far as a listener. It makes me not even want to listen to it. It just makes me not even want to listen to it. I'm like, I don't even want to listen to this because I already know what they're going to say. So it just makes you want to turn the music off. And it's uninspiring as a listener who loves to listen to great written songs. So I say, as a writer, dig deep, because it's almost like a state of emergency with great writing. We're in a state of an emergency with writing. Great writing is missing, and we're lacking great writing because nobody studies the art of writing. Nobody studies the art of themselves. We have to get back to that, you guys. As an independent artist, my young cats and my OGs already know this because we grew up at a time when all the writing was just, all the songs are incredible. But if you're going to continue to make history, the only way you're going to make it is through writing great music. Let me correct myself. Sorry. The only way you're going to be able to make a mark in this business is writing great songs. Lyrical content, not the music, because some artists will confuse lyrics with music. You ask them, oh, what do you do? Oh, I write music. And I'll say, oh, yeah, you produce? No, I write lyrics. So the only way to write great lyrics, I'm not going to call it music because it's lyrics. The only way to write great lyrics is to push yourself and study the art form of writing. Study yourself as well. Study your stories and learn how to structure your stories into a better story. You know what I mean? So that you are creating something that makes a listener want to continue to listen to you. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with you guys. That's where I feel like it's lacking and why I feel like gone are the days of great writers, because it's obvious. Listen to some of the songs that are out, the hip-hop stuff, and some, not all R&B, because it's actually gotten better on the R&B side, but the hip-hop side is people ain't writing. It's like nothing great to make you want to go. It's only there's a select few hip-hop artists that are writing great lyrical content. Stone Paxton Music and Life, the podcast, the couch. Listen, make sure you guys like, subscribe, and share my videos. Also, artists looking for music distribution, click the link on at the bottom for Brand Artist Coalition Music Distribution. Also, for all my musicians who want to collab, go to Session Wire. Make sure you join Session Wire and collab with your favorite musician, man. You know, collab with me. Who knows? Join Session Wire. Distribute your music through Brand Artist Coalition, and I'll catch you on the next video. And by the way, go check out that live with myself and EA Ski. He interviewed me, my brother EA Ski. We had a great conversation. Go to EA Ski's channel and check out that live that him and I did. Okay, catch you on the next video. Peace and love, and I'm out. Stone Paxton Music and Life.